Hello again, this is Rudy Wilkins from Forgotten Fitness, and today I will be talking to you about Vince Gironda's favorite exercises from the Vince Gironda Workout Bulletin. I recently purchased this booklet from nspnutrition.com and have really enjoyed it, so I'm here to share with you the workout. In this booklet, prior to explaining the exercises, Vince Gironda discusses the sets and reps he believes you should follow, depending on your experience level, and certain tips and tricks that he feels may help you. For beginners, he feels that 3 sets of 8 reps is perfect. Intermediate, 5 sets of 5, experienced, 6 sets of 6, and the advanced trainee can follow the 8x8 program. For tips and tricks, he feels that you should always control your breathing. And as far as calves go, to train them using high reps rather than heavy weight, which is something you see across the board with silver and golden era trainers and athletes. He also mentions that you should always use good form and never be sloppy. If you have to drop the weight, do it. He also mentions that you should not expect to lose weight by training abs more, as it will not do this. It's true that the only way you're really going to lose weight around the midsection is to lose body fat all over. And to do this, you have to diet and work very hard. The first exercise Vince Gironda discusses in this booklet is the wide pec dip on a V-bar. Ideally, you would have a V-bar. If you do not, though, you can perform the same movement on a parallel bar. The thing about this movement is you want to keep your elbows wide and in line with your shoulders at all time. This is the key to contracting the chest and isolating the chest and keeping those triceps out of the lift. At the same time, you want to keep your feet slightly in front of your chest to offset the weight, and that way you can put a little bit more strain onto your pectorals. To complete this movement, you want to dip the chest below parallel and fully contract the pectorals and squeeze them. He mentions that if you are not yet strong enough to do this exercise unassisted, you can place your feet on a box and assist yourself only slightly. I've done this lift before, and it is extremely demanding. The only other lifts like it, I believe, are the Gironda neck press and bent arm laterals, and even they are not as amazing as this exercise for your chest. I think Vince was right to put this on the list. This is probably the best chest movement there is, and definitely one of the most difficult. The second movement Vince Gironda discusses in this booklet is the lat pull on a low cable station. He mentions that you can either use 2 rings or a close grip lat pulley attachment to perform this lift. Prior to conducting a rep, you want to rest your feet on either a 2x4 or a foot stop on the machine itself. Then you will grasp the handles and lean as far forwards as you can. After this, you want to pull the handles back and sit back at the same time, drawing the shoulders back and pointing the chest upwards and squeezing the scapulas together. Afterwards, allow the pulley to come to rest at the starting position before continuing on the next rep. Remember, don't rush this and don't swing your body backwards. If the weight is too heavy, don't be afraid to drop the weight a little bit for a more controlled rep. The third exercise Vince Gironda discusses in this booklet is the tricep rope pulley, which happens to be one of Larry Scott's favorite lifts. It is mentioned that it works the entire tricep and helps give a thick look from the side. To perform this lift, you want to use a rope pulley approximately 6 feet off the ground. You must attach to it either a 10-foot long piece of rope or chain to allow for full extension. To begin with, you want to kneel and rest your elbows on a 16-inch bench. It can't be any higher than this because it'll lift the chest too much off the ground and you won't be able to get that full stretch you need. You want to grasp the rope attachment behind your head and pull to arm's length while contracting the triceps in a controlled manner. When descending, allow the hands to fully extend back and touch your upper back. Do this very slow and controlled. No reason to rush this, and you will definitely feel the burn in your triceps. The fourth exercise Vince Gironda discusses is an interesting one, known as the perfect curl. It is meant to target the 3 bicep aspects that Vince Gironda believed in, known as the low, belly, and peak parts of the bicep. To begin with, you want to grasp a barbell and rest the elbows as close to the pelvis as possible. The arms are not flared out here. Then, you want to keep the head and shoulders inclined slightly in front of the hips. After this, you will use the forearms and lower biceps to lift the bar the first 12 inches. Then, as the body begins to travel slightly upwards into an erect position, continue the lift using the belly of the biceps alone. Finally, shift the body, shoulders, and head back until the movement is fully completed, using the peak of the bicep. You want to reverse the movement and continue for the prescribed number of reps. The fifth exercise Vince Gironda discusses is a fairly common one seen in gyms nowadays, known as the deltoid lateral raise. This is quite interesting though for the time, because at the time many bodybuilders and trainers were preaching the importance of the overhead press, which we know now can be very detrimental to the shoulders. To begin with, you want to grasp two fairly light dumbbells in front of your hips, with the dumbbell bells touching one another. Then, you will raise the weights out to your side with unlocked and slightly bent arms until the bells reach head height. Throughout the movement, you want to keep the palms down and the knuckles up. You do not want to raise the front part of the dumbbells higher than the rear part, as this will shift focus to the anterior head rather than the lateral head of the shoulder. After this, you want to slowly descend the weight in a controlled manner. He mentions that do not, in any part of the lift, swing the weights up or down. This is a controlled lift and should be performed slowly. The sixth exercise Vince Gironda discusses is something he calls the thigh squat. If any of you are familiar with the sissy squat, this is essentially a part of the sissy squat. It's called the burlesque bump, and it's one of the three components that makes up the sissy squat. This movement is designed to isolate the quadriceps. It begins with the bar resting on your upper chest and shoulders. The heels should be elevated on a 2x4 and spread about 12 inches apart. Prior to squatting, you want to shift your hips slightly in front of your body and bend your knees. Next, you will squat down to parallel. When returning to the standing position, keep the hips forward and the knees slightly bent. This will keep all of the pressure on the quadriceps and none on the glutes. It'll be full-on quadricep isolation. The second to last exercise Vince discusses in this booklet is something called the calf toe raise. He mentions that ideally you would use a calf machine to do this movement, but if you don't have that, you can actually use a belt with a chain to hang a dumbbell between your legs. You want to use your hands and a wall to support yourself, otherwise you may topple over. To start with, you want to place the balls of your feet on an elevated block, preferably 3 inches off the ground and about 4 inches apart. You want to keep the knees slightly bent throughout the entire movement, and as you raise up, bring the heels together. As you descend, let them return to the starting position. Remember, you want to keep your reps high, 20 to 30 reps, and the weight fairly low. Again, this movement needs to be controlled and slow, and you'll definitely see the results. The final exercise Vince discusses in this booklet is a lift known as the frog sit-up, which I regard to be one of the greatest abdominal exercises ever developed. To start with, you want to lie flat on your back with your feet pressed together and hips wide out almost like a frog. Then, you will place your hands behind your head with a small weight clasped in between them. You will then curl your head and body upwards until only the small of your back remains on the floor. Always remember that this is a roll and not a sit-up in its traditional form. Your back is not flat here, it is instead curled upwards. Also, remember that you will not be able to spot reduce fat. There's no benefit in doing any more reps on this than you would any other movement. More ab work does not equal fat loss around the midsection. Only proper diet and a good exercise regimen can do this for you. And that concludes this video. If you're interested in content like this, I actually have an Instagram account titled The Official Vince Gironda Fan Page, where I post golden and silver era content, including the Iron Gurus content, Steve Reeves, Bill Pearl, and I am also sponsored by NSP Nutrition, which happens to be Vince Gironda's original supplement company. If you're interested in purchasing any of their merchandise or supplements, you can use my code VINCE10 at checkout and get 10% off your purchase. And until next time, this is Forgotten Fitness signing out. Bye-bye.